Let's talk money.
Hello and welcome to the post-budget special edition of Let's Talk Money. I'm your host, Surabhi Upadhyay. So it's finally happened. The magic has been unleashed. The FM has decided to give a bonanza to the middle class with the much talked about reduction in personal income tax rates and slabs. I mean, the whole change in the new tax regime. That throws up a lot of questions. Of course, it throws up the question of how much you and I are going to save. But also the bigger question, a lot of us have still been with the old regime because we love our deductions, whether it is, ATC, 1.5 lakhs, whether it's Mediclaim, housing, etc. But now, with the new slabs and the new rates and the new relief on rebate, is it time to move to the new income tax regime? Well, to answer this and a lot more, we have with us two experts. We have Feroze Azeez, Deputy CEO at Anand Rathi Wealth, and Sonu Iyer, who's the tax partner and people advisory services leader at EY India. Ladies and gentlemen, great to have both of you together with us on the show. So thank you very much for joining in. Sonu, I think you are wearing the colors of the season, right? It's all green. Suddenly taxpayers are actually seeing green because this is a meaningful relief that's come in this budget, right?
Thanks, Surabhi. First of all, thank you for having me on Let's Talk Money. And yes, it's right time to talk money, given the green bonanza that's coming our way. All of us literally are impacted or have something to cheer about this budget. Of course, the particular focus has been on the low-income earners or the middle-income earners, but a lot to cheer in the budget from a personal tax standpoint.
Absolutely. And Feroze, let me get some opening thoughts with you as well before we dive into the tax calculations. What did you think of the budget? At least there was no change on capital gains, and this income tax relief seems fairly real.
Yes, it is, of course.
And substantial.
Real. Absolutely substantial. I had about 3-4 demands. I think inadvertently they've been heard. One is consistency, simplicity. The other was parity. These were the three things I was asking for. Consistency, taxes haven't been changed. Just in 8 months, we had all asset classes being touched on the capital gain front. Of course, we are waiting for the bill to come in, and I'm reasonably sure that the tax rates won't be changing. That's point one. In terms of simplicity, there's one very strong nuance which exemplifies simplicity, is the tax rates and slabs have become multiples of 4 and 5. You see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24.
Yes,
I've never been able to remember these because
and
every
now we can,
and the rates are 5, 10, 15,
20.
25, 30. So that's simplicity. Parity. See, consultants used to have Section 44A. Okay, if there was a salaried guy, he would have no headroom at all. He would pay 30% marginal tax rate. A consultant, if you just redesign my agreement, and if I'm below 75 lakhs, and if I can go for presumptive, as a consultant, I would bring down my tax to 1/5, right? And that was such a big disparity. A consultant also works as much, and an employee works more, but employees have zero headroom. You're going like a train, and then you have consultants who are like auto. They can change lanes anywhere. So I think that also has that disparity has been reduced.
Oh, absolutely. And those are some of the big salient features of the tax relief that has been ushered in. So let's straight away dive in. So now what we want to understand is get into the nitty-gritties and not only look at the slabs and the rates that Feroze mentioned, but let's start by understanding why this is good news, even if your income is just slightly over 12 lakh rupees, right? The reason we are saying nil tax is because the rebate has gone up. The first tax slab is still kicking in at 4 lakhs, but the rebate has gone up to 60,000, so therefore there's relief. But tell us why even someone whose total income, taxable income is coming to, let's say, 12 lakh 10,000, 12 lakh 30,000, why do these individuals also have reason to cheer?
Okay, let me take a step back. As you said, this is the change in the rebate available under Section 87A. So what this means is that starting April 2025, 1st April 2025, effective financial year 25-26, anyone whose total taxable income is up to 12 lakh will pay no tax because of this rebate under Section 87A. Total taxable income has to be, again, which is taxable at slab rates and not income that's taxable at special rates like your long-term capital gains or listed equity short-term capital gains, which are taxed at different rates than the slab rate. And this rebate under Section 87A is there even in the existing law, which is up to 7 lakhs, which is now going up to 12 lakhs. And even in the old tax regime, you have it up to 5 lakhs. And then the concept of marginal relief, wherein you are talking about someone who earns 12 lakh 10,000 also doesn't end up having to pay much more tax than someone who's paying at 12 lakh. The concept of marginal relief simply is that any tax that is payable on incremental income over the income threshold, which is eligible for nil tax, like 12 lakhs in this case, is, anyone who gets over 12 lakhs doesn't end up paying the full tax that would be calculated at the slabs. So I'd say that it is really a comparison between any tax payable on income to the extent it is more than 12 lakhs and what the income increase over 12 lakhs. So you do a comparison of two and go with the lower amount as the tax to be paid. That's the marginal relief. And that's what we can see in the tables as well. So
okay, but Sonu,
when you talk about
Sonu,
rebate...
but Sonu, on the marginal, we understand the concept, right? That if you're earning slightly above that 12 lakh, threshold where you get the rebate, you shouldn't be penalized. You shouldn't have to pay tax on the entire amount where your income is only slightly higher, marginally higher than the relief threshold. But up to what level is this relief available? 12 lakh, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 25,000. At some point, it has to stop, right? And you have to come in the tax slabs. So how does it work?
Right. Okay. So when if you could maybe bring back the tables, it's easier to sort of explain from the tables.
Yeah, we have them on.
Yeah. So we are saying that at different levels of income, you're going up to right up till 12 lakhs 70,000. There also you're getting a sort of a relief on marginal relief, because if you do a comparison between tax payable and increase in the income. So when your income is 12 lakhs 70,000, your increase in income is 70,000. The tax payable is 70,500. Marginal relief is a comparison between the increase in income and the tax payable. And therefore, we found that the tax payable is more than the income. So the relief is 500. So the individual at 12 lakh 70,000 pays only a tax of 70,000 and not 70,500, and is getting a relief of 500. If you do just to show you another extreme, when it sort of ceases to exist, if someone is at an income of 12 lakh 75,000, the increase in income is 75,000 over 12 lakhs. The tax payable computed on 12 lakh 75,000 is 71,250. Because the tax payable computed is lower than the income increase over 12 lakhs, the marginal relief is no longer available. So,
got it.
Somewhere between 12 lakh 70 to 12 lakh 75 lakh, it sort of ceases. The exact number would be 12 lakh 70,588, where this marginal relief ceases to exist.
Got it, got it. So that's how it'll work, and it's beneficial going all the way up to 12 lakh 75,000. By the way, those are rates we've taken, including standard deduction. After standard deduction, what is your taxable income? That's where, the marginal relief actually kicks in. Feroze, that brings us to the other big question that I'm sure a lot of your clients also must be wondering or thinking. I mean, the ones that have been, following the old regime till now, whether now with this level of a tax rejig in terms of the slabs, the rates, whether it's just simpler and easier to move to the new regime itself. I mean, what's the kind of first cut analysis, or what's the advice that you're giving out there?
No, it's very, very clear that you don't have to do the old tax regime at all unless you're married to it and there's some emotional attachment you have. Okay, because Nirmala ma'am has done something very smart. Okay, when you do the back of the envelope calculation, the perceived value of the gift is greater than the actual value of the gift. When you look at how the tax payers are there, if you give 80,000 benefit to such a large universe, she would have actually ended up spending 2,62,000 crores. But in this budget speech, she said 1,10,000.
That is how much she has to let go.
Let go. But actually perceived value is 80,000 per head for those many taxpayers. That's because a lot of them are actually using the old tax regime and getting a lot of jugaad wala paisa. Right? Now so its perceived value is greater than the actual value. So it's not going to benefit so much consumption as much as people are saying it is. Second, ULIP is a write-off. ULIP, there was an intersection between ULIP buyers and the old tax regime guys, almost 90%. If old tax regime is gone, ULIP as a Jan, Feb, March product is written off.
Correct.
So that's the long-term impact of that. The third, so I personally tell everybody to go into the new tax regime. Don't invest in debt, which is forceful debt. If you have to ask me, my clients come from an HNI and ultra HNI backdrop.
That's right.
So I'm getting their PPFs and EPFs also withdrawn because there's no point being in there. You can rather have debt because marginal tax rates have come down. Capital gain tax also is beneficial. The third thing, which is very important, is jugaad will stop in this country.
How do you say that, or why do you say that?
because 3 jugards used to be done by salaried guys also, because India ke blood mein hai. Ek to what he would do, he would fudge rent receipts. That was one of the biggest data point which ministry has. Rent ki time aa gayi, rent receipt fudge kar raha aadmi, de raha hai salary, because that's the only thing he was left with. Second, people would donate to political parties. They will donate to NGOs, and they're taking some kickbacks. So all this will stop because the new tax regime doesn't allow that.
Correct.
That's the most important message for me. Ethical professionals will be rewarded in the new tax regime.
Correct.
So that I think is getting missed out completely. And the last bit is the old tax regime has anyways become defunct for everybody who earns. There are 1,350 people who earn more than 10 crores. The surcharge cap of 37 down to 25 is only applicable in the new tax regime.
Correct.
These 1,350 people, none of them were in the old tax regime.
Yeah.
Because
they had anyway moved on because they were getting a lower surcharge rate in the new regime.
So that's why I'm saying the perceived value is greater than the actual one.
So Feroze is all for the new tax regime, got that, but we still need to understand the maths. I'm going to quickly head back to Sonu. Now, Sonu, help us understand this, because when we see the numbers, we'll believe it, right? Because as salaried individuals, we loved our deductions. We loved, the whole sort of piece on home loan, Section 80C, 50,000 NPS, then Section 80D for Mediclaim. We love to hold on to that. That was our, effort of saving. But is it pointless now to calculate and tabulate all of that? Is it still just better to move to the new regime?
Okay, no, you still have to do your comparisons. Between new tax regime, existing new tax regime to the proposed new tax regime, it's almost everybody can think of moving because there will be a saving. But those who are holding on to the old tax regime, although data suggests, as per the government, that in the media reports, almost 72% of the people had already moved to the new tax regime. But I think, Madam Finance Minister has created a situation where everyone will be almost compelled to do a comparison and make a decision. And we'll find a lot of people moving. The reasons that Feroze called out, whether it's an HRA reduction, ATC benefit, ATD medical benefit, all of these, require some sort of administrative work in terms of keeping and managing your receipts, etc. So you want to get rid of all of that because you're getting the same benefit, or in fact, actually saving more money under the new tax regime because of the widening of the tax slabs and lowering of the tax rates. So you will see people move. In fact, the government on its income tax portal, the www.gov.taxin, actually does have www.incometax.gov.in has a calculator that helps you do a comparison. And it actually throws up it's a basic calculator which tells you if this was your total annual income, these are the deductions you've been claiming, this is your saving, and it tells you which regime is better. So that is something that's easily accessible to all. And there's, of course, an advanced calculator also available on the income tax portal that can help you come to an exact benefit in terms of making the decision on whether to switch to new tax regime. But maybe, it's best explained by in an example that in terms of the deductions people were claiming, that if you look at the old tax reduction, if your total deductions were about 500,000 rupees, you are going to be able to you can actually go up to 800,000, where that's where the break even is coming in terms of, where you would want to be able to move to new tax regime, as simple as that. So, income up to 24 lakhs, the income varies at different levels. So, there is a specific calculation. But beyond 24 lakhs, if you have deductions more than 8 lakhs, you will stay on with the old tax regime. But if your deductions are less than 8 lakhs, then you will switch to new tax regime.
Okay, so 8 lakhs is that magic number. You have to see if all of your deductions put together are going above 8 lakhs, then maybe you're still better off in the old regime, right? And this would mean that you have to include HRA, because otherwise, without HRA, I don't know if there are other deductions significant enough that will total up to over 8 lakhs, Sonu?
No, so that's where it is. Unless, Feroze mentioned if you have, making donations to political parties, if you're doing ATG deductions to charitable institutions, etc., or, you have some deductions on account of disabled dependents, etc., those will become very exceptional situations. If I look at the large mass of population that typically takes deduction, say for, LIC, tuition fee, etc., which under ATC adding up to 1.5 lakhs, then you have your ATCCD deduction in case of additional contribution to NPS, or interest on housing loan, which is up to 2 lakhs. If you're claiming deductions in that part, typically to come up to 8 lakhs is a bit of a stretch. So yeah, that's why most people will move.
Got it. So remember that number, 8 lakhs. Go back, check your calculations, maybe talk to your CA. If the reductions are going over 8 lakhs, only then maybe there's some merit in staying in the old tax regime. Have to take a break. But this is not the only thing. Lots of other things have happened in the budget. Some relief when it comes to the tax that's being deducted at source on the interest income that we are earning on, say, our bank deposits. So we'll talk about that, plus a bunch of other reliefs that have come in. Fine print, budget 2025. The discussion will continue.
Let's talk money.
Welcome back. You're with us on Let's Talk Money, and we are decoding the budget fine print and figuring out if this indeed is the budget that makes most of us move from the old income tax regime to the new income tax regime. And before the break, you heard Sonu give us a bit of a thumb rule that if your total deductions are going above 8 lakh rupees in a year, then perhaps, only then perhaps, you might be better off in the old regime. But even then, you have to do your own math and your own sort of calculations. Just a point here, when we talk about deductions, for us, for most of us, we'll exceed 8 lakhs if we're paying a high amount of rent and claiming HRA. So just some examples and some numbers over here. Now here, look at the assumption that we have taken, that the person is earning 35 lakhs and the rent, he or she is paying 50,000 per month, which is what a lot of us end up paying in cities like, Mumbai or Delhi or Bengaluru, etc. Now, even here, you can say these are all, and then the other deductions are there, ATC, etc. Even for a person like this, the person is better off in the new tax regime. You can see the total tax payable is about 6.3 lakhs in the new regime versus 6.7 lakhs in the old regime, even if you're paying 50,000 rupees of rent. Now, finally, looking at someone who's earning even more and living in an even fancier house, the example here talks about someone who's earning 65 lakhs and the rent paid is 1 lakh. Only in this sort of an example, when you do the math, the numbers total up to the fact that maybe you're better off in the old regime. So that's the point that Sonu was making earlier. Feroze, your thoughts on this whole old versus new debate. Help us out. Generally, I mean, you said directionally you're better off in the new, but is this the rough break-even level that you concur with?
Like you rightly said, because the ones which are the common ones is 4.5 lakh summation, even if you use the NPS 50,000 limit, unless you're doing those exceptional ones like
donating to political parties, donating to charity,
parents,
and all of that.
4.5 lakhs, and then leaves you with another 3.5 lakhs. Like Sonu said, 8 lakhs is the break-even. So if you look at a metro city, because HRA is also a complex one, right? It is 50% of your basic. There are 3 rules, and the worst off is how it is calculated. So 82 to 83,000. So I think whatever example you gave, 1 lakh, I completely endorse that. And I personally think you should never swim against the tide. Now, कितना बचा लोगे? 20,000 2 साल के लिए. Come swim with the tide. It's always a good thing to do. That's my opinion. Now, you can do second decimal mathematics to save 12,000 rupees. You can work a little harder and get that 50,000 rupee extra bonus as a professional.
Okay, one more thing that I want both of you to clarify on. When we're filing our income tax return, so that could include all kinds of income, right? There's income from salary, there could be income from interest, there's income from capital gains, different, varied heads of income. So when we are saying that rebate is, as much as 60,000, if total income, taxable income is less than 12 lakh rupees, then that is what? That's only salaried income?
So total taxable income, which comprises of income which is taxed at slab rates. So you could have maybe, like the debt mutual funds, etc., which are now taxed at slab rates included in this income. But supposing you had, say, taxable income of 12 lakhs, out of which 8 lakhs is your salary income, interest income, all of them which are taxed at regular slab rates. But you have 4 lakhs of long-term capital gains. You will not get the rebate for the total 12 lakhs. You'll get the rebate for 8 lakhs. But for the 4 lakhs, you'll have to calculate tax as per the slab rates and then pay tax on it. So you'll have to be careful. This is very specifically, the government has inserted a proviso in the law this time, which is proposed, wherein they're saying this is only eligible, rebate that's eligible for income which is taxed at the slab rates, not income which is already taxed at some discounted rate of 12.5% or 20% as is the case in some short-term capital gains.
Okay, that's an important point as well.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah, Feroze, you want to add to it?
So what Sonu explained, for its application, where's the good news? The good news is for debt funds.
Okay.
Right? If a guy has 1 crore rupees in a debt fund, he's going to earn 7 crores, 7 lakhs, right? If you're earning 7 lakhs, it's anyways taxed at marginal tax rate, so there will be zero capital gain because there is a rebate.
Okay.
So this is very good for senior citizens who were very upset that you're now pushing me back to deposits because both are now marginal tax rate. So it's a great news for all products who are at marginal tax rate anyway.
Whatever is taxed at slab rate is clubbed in this limit of 12 lakhs.
Absolutely.
That is the important takeaway. Okay, I think we're down to the last 30 seconds. So very quickly want final advice from our guests. Feroze, in terms of our mutual fund investments, though of course nothing has changed in terms of capital gains, but the market started believing that now with this big income tax cut, consumption will do well, consumer stocks will do well. You should not have manufacturing and capex too much in your portfolio. I know market can also go to excesses, but from a mutual fund portfolio perspective, would you change anything, add or subtract anything?
So I personally think these are narratives built. Somebody actually told me the same narrative in one of those panels on the budget day. I asked him, what are the top 3 expenditures of the government apart from interest? It is transport, defense, and railways, right? So all of it has some degree of capital gain, right? So it can be consumer spending, which can be propelled. Of course, I have for the last 6 months been saying ABC is the theme. Automobile, banking, and consumption are the themes which fund managers should also skew. But you need not buy a specific thematic scheme to get the benefit of this ABC. And this ABC got reinforced in this budget, thankfully.
Okay, got it. So no reason to rush and quickly start sort of rejigging your portfolio. Sonu, final advice, tip, anything else you'd like to leave with? We didn't get a chance to discuss, but there's relief also on the interest income on deposits, right? There's some good news that's coming if you want to remit money overseas for funding higher education. So quick summary of the other highlights that stood out for you.
So very quickly now, the TDS, which is applicable on interest income typically kicks in if your interest income is over 40,000 rupees and for senior citizens at 50,000. What has happened in this budget is that the TDS threshold for senior citizens has gone up from 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees. That means that, sometimes what the challenge which senior citizens face is that they have to file tax return to get back the refund of TDS, which is deducted because their income is not within the taxable ambit. Now, so that administrative hassle is saved. So the TDS relief there is no change in the taxability of the interest income, but the threshold at which the TDS kicks in has gone up to 50,000 for everyone. And for senior citizens, that is people over 60 years of age, it is at 1 lakh rupees. So that's the benefit. TCS, which is applicable on remittances under liberalized remittance scheme, that in case of education loans taken by students to finance their education overseas, that's been completely taken away. There's no TCS on remittances relating to education if it is in finance from a loan taken from a specified financial institution. The big change for all remittances, the TCS will come in at a threshold of 10 lakhs instead of the existing 7 lakhs. So that's also going to be a measure of relief for people when you look at it from the budget perspective.
Okay, all right. Quite a whirlwind session, this one, but I think very helpful because we've finally got all the fine print out and we've understood why moving to the new tax regime almost is a certain for most of us after Budget 2025. Thank you so much, Sonu, as well as Feroze, for joining in and helping us demystify some of these finer aspects. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Let's Talk Money. See you again, same time, same place next week.
Let's Talk Money